2, 3, 4. Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episodes, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy midweek motivation with John and Carly. Hey.
Midweek motivation.
Let's go!
Find the button. There it is. Oh my goodness. I flipped the whole room around and I can't find the button. And then Cody has to say things that we can't put on the internet. Good heavens. We're all learning things today. But hey, welcome to Midweek Motivation. Real conversations with real people about a very real God. It's if you can't tell what's different, then you haven't watched in a while. Maybe it's been a long time if you can't tell what's different.
Yeah.
Does it feel different?
If it looks like nothing changed, you're not a true fan.
That's true. If it looks like nothing changed, just don't tell us that.
It's just changed since I was on the
right.
Team, so.
Yeah, we did add another bald guy. That does help. I guess we really replaced a bald guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's more accurate.
I think we upgraded too. No offense, Carly, but
Wow.
but I'm just going to say it. I think we upgraded. Last week, I thought was a fantastic episode. Trevor's first episode with us on the show, and it was so good. We brought him back for another week. He got volunteered and didn't get told.
4 minutes ago.
Right. So you got volunteered without being voluntold. But that's just life. That's the way it goes. But if you're not already a part of our group, you can text the word motivate to 540-900-3838. That'll put you in our group. That'll mean you get the notification right when we're about to go live. So right about the time where you're just about to start something brand new, because it's about right at the top of the hour, we're going to text you and ruin that. And if you're ADD like me, it'll just ruin all your focus and you'll jump over to that. And selfishly, I'm perfectly comfortable with that. So glad that you're joining us for Midweek today. There's a couple things I want to cover, and then actually a lot of things we want to cover, like probably too many things, but we'll see.
It's always too many.
It's always too many things. We just always have too much fun. But the first thing we got to talk about, we did a second episode. I think we did it. Did I do it last week? Yeah, last week. I put it out last Friday.
Oh, yeah.
We did a second episode of What's Next. We've done a lot of sermon series in between the first one and the second one. But we got to do a whole recap of all of the Death to Death series. I got to sit down with Carly and Dustin. The same thing happened last time we sat down and talked and shot an episode. And Dustin and I were like, all right, 30 minutes and we'll be done. And then an hour later, we're like, how do we cut this to 30 minutes? Because I don't know if you guys know this about Dustin and Carly especially, and just
talkers.
Pastors in general, right? Yeah, they're definitely talkers. And we're talking about stuff that they preach. So, it was good. The last episode was really good. This most recent episode, there was really great conversation. I had to cut some of the best stuff. Because actually, our camera died like right in the middle of it because we hit our limit. We hit our 30-minute mark and the camera cut off. So, I was trying to time it, but I couldn't get Dustin to stop his thought at the right time. So it was good. Maybe someday it'll be found off the cutting room floor, but it's good stuff. So you can go watch that. What's Next? We talked about our Death to Death series, closed it up, and you'd be amazed how long it takes to talk about a 4-week series. So we talked about essentially 2 hours of sermons, right? Mm-hmm. 2 hours of content spread over 4 weeks. We were able to condense it. I think I got it to 48 minutes. I think that's right. No, it was more than that. I think it was like 52 minutes. But we shot over an hour of content. So just know that when your pastors are preaching and you feel like they're preaching too long, they have more that they wanted to say, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and they've already cut it to 30 minutes, right? They had more that they want to say. So that's kind of the idea behind What's Next. We want to talk about the stuff, kind of recap a little bit, but also talk about the things that maybe we couldn't get to on stage or things that require a little bit deeper discussion. So that's what What's Next is about. You can check it out on YouTube, Facebook, or right in our app as well. That's all over our Death to Death series. If you like it, let us know. If you think it looks terrible, let us know, right? If you hate the idea of it, don't let us know, because we're going to keep doing it. So
I enjoy it. I like hearing the stuff that like you said missed the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Or left on the cutting
room floor.
It's basically a dig deeper
Right.
Yeah.
type of deal.
Yeah, we wanted to go a little bit deeper, and that's really I think we hit on it a couple times too in that episode, but that's the entire purpose of groups, right? But we also wanted to give a little bit of content to where you can hear more from our preachers about what they wanted to hit and things maybe they didn't have time to make it clear. And also, if you missed one of those messages, you can always go back and watch it because we keep those up there. But it's kind of cool to go back and watch the message and then watch part of that episode as well. So we're trying to find ways to make it shorter because this next series is 8 weeks long, and there is no way that we're going to have
3 hours.
Yeah, that's it, and it might just be 3 hours. Look, Joe Rogan can go for 3 hours, and I listened to one of his that was 5 hours.
Yeah.
And it was great. So, we're on that level, right? Sure.
Speaking of, that one with Wes Huff was incredible.
Absolutely fantastic. Yes. So just to promote the most popular podcast in the world, because it is fantastic.
Most of his fans are here probably watching.
Right. Yeah. Most of his fans are also our fans, I'm sure. Statistically, that's probably true. Or some of his fans are definitely our fans. But if you've never watched any of Joe Rogan's podcasts, it's definitely good to catch some of his clips. Probably not all of his episodes. You're definitely going to hear some language that you don't necessarily want to hear all the time. But the content and just the overall idea of and the theme behind his show is literally he'll have a conversation with anybody. If you've never watched it and you're curious about how to listen to people, and especially listening to people you disagree with, right? A super lost art in our world today, right? But he's had just about everybody on the planet on. People he agrees with, people he disagrees with, all good stuff. So definitely watch that one with Wesley Huff, or really anything from Wesley Huff has been fantastic. Especially if you like podcasts, it's a great one just to sit back and listen to.
And if you like Canadians.
And if you like Canadians. He
Is that
kind of
what
sounds...
I was
he's
picking up on something there.
He sounds like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
And it's not like the normal... Yeah, I had somebody point that out to me.
Yeah.
It's not like the normal, like, Canadian A, right? It's not that. But there's something about being a super smart, intelligent Canadian that makes you sound that way. They sound like almost the same. It's real entertaining. But yeah, you should go listen to that. It's fantastic. Listen to basically anything Joe Rogan does. I think it's fantastic. Trigger warning: if you are not comfortable with a lot of foul language, you probably won't appreciate it. But there are definitely some clips that you can find of his that are definitely worth watching. So that sounded great. I'm glad I'm not a part of that. If you couldn't hear that, something just crashed and fell in the lobby, and I don't know what it was, but we're going to pretend that we didn't hear it so we can keep going.
A loud trumpet to follow.
Yeah. Oh no, Cody's gone.
Wasn't ready.
Oh no, man. It'd be real sad to start walking through the
And we're
right
all
through the
that's
office.
left.
Tell you what, if Glenn's here, then we're fine.
Yeah, nothing happened.
Right. So we need to just check Glenn's office. If you're in the office, go check Glenn's office. If he's here, we're all good. And if you don't understand that joke at all, welcome to church.
We'll see you Sunday.
Man, it doesn't get much more inside than jokes like that. But yeah, so what's next is out there. Man, how did we get... We were doing so well. Trevor, you had me going so well, and then I ruined it. Well, and then something blew up in the lobby too. If only there were walls and doors and a ceiling in this beautiful studio of ours. Yeah, somebody wants to donate walls and a ceiling, we'll take it.
We're talking to you, Mike Vanderpool.
You got nothing else going on. You could do it. So that's out now. I think we dropped it last Friday. So go watch that, and definitely go back and watch all of that last series. Right? If you're, it was just fantastic. That's good stuff. It's. I would say it's usually all good. Be a little short-sighted to say it's always all good, right? But it's pretty much always all good. And I've listened to a lot of sermons in my life. Which I was trying to count up one day how many sermons I've listened to in my life. I just figured I'd just say 1 million and just round it there. I don't know if that's accurate, but we're just going to go with it.
And I never tell him this, but Dustin's really bringing it. He's
Right?
hitting his stride, and he's gotten several compliments. Again, I would never tell him, but
Yeah, we couldn't tell him something like that. Yeah,
keep him grounded.
right. Yeah, we gotta keep him keep him driving, keep
think he needs
keep
to
moving
get
that
better.
carrot a little bit. can't make him think he's good, right?
No.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's a difficult thing, and we covered it. You go watch the episode. I won't ruin it too much, but like we covered that a little bit too. Like we talked about some difficult things through the book of Colossians, right? We talked about family order, which I give him a hard time when I saw he was talking about, that verse, wives submit to your husbands. I gave him a hard time. I was like, so you want me to just put your email up on the screen and everybody can just, send their complaints to you. But man, like probably one of the best responses to a message, especially a message in that vein that I've ever heard in church, like people amening, and especially when he was talking about how much smarter our wives are than us. Like there was significant amens, and there's probably some elbows happening there as well. But overall, just a great series. And I felt a little bad because that first week it was one of the best messages on what the church should be focused on I've ever heard. And then we kind of made a joke on him. we took his taco illustration or his Mexican food illustration. We made a joke out of it. Like great illustration, but we did kind of make a joke out of it. So I felt a little bad about that, but it's also the second most viewed video on our social media.
Pollo con calabaza.
Oh yeah. And that's going to come back. But Dustin's a good sport on all the jokes we play on him. Like there's another one out there that's gotten over 5,000 views. Have you seen his Michael Jordan dunk attempt?
That got 5,000?
Yeah, that's over 5,000. It's like almost 6. It rounds to 6. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty big. So go share that one.
See, he'll tell you though that he wasn't actually trying to dunk.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know if I believe that.
That's what I would say too, right? You notice I was there, right? And I watched him do that. And there was a whole bunch of people trying. I did not try. There was no attempt because I was not going to let there be a video of me, right? So kudos for trying. But, he's a little bit older than me, so I'll give him a break. But definitely go check out our social media. There's a lot of good stuff there. Good stuff that, is good to share with people. You can use it as an invite to church. So share that as well. Check those out. Midweek and What's Next and all of our messages from Sunday morning are on Apple and Spotify podcasts as well. So you can check those out. So don't miss all those things. There's things happening. Good heavens. I forgot to look at Facebook. Well, there's lots of people on Facebook. Oh, Brunk, you're still on your way to work, I'm sure. Andrew, what's going on? Watching from Savannah, Georgia. Hey, Andrew, there's a great Black Rifle coffee shop in Savannah, Georgia. It's fantastic. Is it Black Rifle? Yeah, it's Black Rifle. It's a great place. So, Andrew, if you're there, go get some coffee. If you like coffee. If you don't like coffee, you should still go because it's a good place. It's a cool place to be.
It smells nice.
Are you not a coffee man?
I love coffee. I'm just saying, if you don't like coffee,
oh, it does smell good. Okay. Oh, you are a coffee. Never mind.
You see how much coffee I drink every day.
Look, we haven't worked together long, so we're getting closer. We're getting to know each other on a new level. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not as weird as it sounds. I promise.
I was just gonna let y'all sit in that awkward moment as long as possible.
Hopefully that felt less awkward. That'll feel awkward later. That's just going to live on the internet for eternity. That's okay. Anyways, a couple things coming up. Number one, there's this thing happening that apparently happens every year, Easter. Mm-hmm. So Easter's coming up, April the 20th. That is a Sunday. Turns out it's
every year
always on Sunday. Mm-hmm. I'll still never figure out why it moves like 3 weeks away from each other because it was like March, early March last year.
It was early April.
Early April?
Levi was 2 days old, and we were here. Or 3 days old.
Oh, that's right.
And he was born March 28th.
And now he's a tank.
Yeah.
Dude, that kid's going to play football.
D1, baby.
That's going to be awesome.
That's
Lions
my boy.
have already played.
I mean, I would support that. That works for me. Yeah. He can graduate from tech and go to go play for the Lions. I'd celebrate that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
as long as he gets a scholarship. That's right. Whatever he's got to do.
I mean, whatever you're feeding him, just keep feeding it. So Easter's coming up. We do need some help. We have our annual Easter egg hunt happening on that day. So one, make sure you're inviting. It's Easter. It's a time where people are more willing to come to church than almost any other time when it comes to Christmas and Easter, things like that. So be sure inviting people. Yes, Andrew, definitely go.
If you've never been and you have little kids to our Easter egg hunt, it is wild.
It is fantastic. And
10 bajillion eggs.
It's a ton of eggs, and it's split up by age, so your toddler doesn't have to fight a 14-year-old for an egg, right?
Unless we have an alternate location where they can duel it out.
We could put Levi in there.
He could take some of the middle schoolers.
I mean, he could probably beat up one or two of my kids. It'd be fun to see at least. So definitely check out our Easter egg hunt. That's going to happen on Easter, April the 20th, right after our 10:30 service. And I'll tell you too, we have. Well, I won't announce all that. Yeah. So be watching for our Easter services happening. We'll do the official announcement probably this weekend of everything happening that Easter weekend. But save the date. Almost said August, April the 20th. And we do need some candy. So if you're willing to donate some candy, if you've got Halloween candy, don't donate that. Yeah, no, sorry, Cody. You're stuck with that till next Halloween. You can donate to Candyland next year.
Okay.
But we'd love for you to donate that. You can bring that to the church and give it to somebody in the Next Gen department. Just find Pastor Andy and chuck candy at him. He'll take it. He'll happily get it where it needs to go. That's coming up. Speaking of Easter, we did start 40 Days to the Cross today. So if you're not already signed up for that, it's not too late. I think you can still do it. You can text the word cross to 540-342-3968, which is not the number on the screen. It's 540-342-3968. So you can text the word cross to that number. That'll get you signed up. I love that we do this. It's something we do all throughout Lent, which also starts today, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But that starts, or Lent starts, Ash Wednesday, just today, starts the 40 days leading up to Lent. And I know what you're thinking. That math doesn't include Sundays, I think.
Maths.
Maybe it math.
Maybe.
I don't actually know. I had somebody tell me that one time, but I never sat down and did the math. So somebody do the math on how many days are actually up till Easter. I know.
I'm just going to trust you.
That's what I've always
I don't know
done.
how many days March has. I guess 31.
31.
Okay.
I've never paid attention.
I'm still not going to do it, but
I know February has 28.
sometimes.
And I sometimes, exactly, right? So
3
who
out
cares?
of 4 years.
This is why we have phones and ChatGPT. It doesn't matter. It's not important anymore. But make sure you're a part of that if you're interested. It's really cool. You get a devotion every day, either by email or by text, or I think maybe both. But it's a cool way to get focused towards what Easter means. And it's just a great thing to do for your devotional time. So you can sign up for 40 Days of the Cross. Text 540-342-3968. Text word cross to that number. You'll get signed up for that. Also coming up, good heavens, baptisms. Again, we just keep having people to baptize. So coming up on the 23rd, we're going to be baptizing some folks in both services that Sunday at 9 and 10:30. Baptism is always a party. So if you're interested in getting signed up to be baptized, if you feel like that's your next step, there's a link on our app. If you hit next steps, you can sign up for baptism that way, or you can go to our website, parkwayroanoke.com/baptism. And that'll get you signed up. I'll connect you with Cassidy. There is a class, usually the Wednesday before, that answers some of the questions. You know, you can get an idea of what to expect. You know, the tank is not cold, I promise. It is nice and cozy, warm.
I was shocked.
Yeah. Oh,
I was going in expecting.
it's nearly
normal.
jacuzzi warm.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And I'll let you in on a secret. So we flipped that puppy on like Friday, right? And it just bubbles and warms until Sunday.
Marinates.
Oh, it's fantastic, right? It's nice.
We should do a crawfish boil on Friday or something.
Turn up the volume.
Right? It might, you want to get baptized in the. I mean,
I'd
hey,
go looking to see if there was one extra floating around
it'd be
on Sunday.
get baptized. Here's your crawfish.
It's weird. That baptism water tastes very Cajun.
A little spicy. And that's why you're back, Trevor. That right there. Those moments. But that's baptism on the 23rd. So make sure you're here either in person or online. I don't think we can baptize you online. I haven't found a way to do that yet. We can do a lot of things.
Just press the emoji of water splashing.
We can do a lot of things. I don't know if I could pull off online baptisms quite yet, but there's a way. But we did another cool thing over the weekend. And I wanted to take a few minutes to kind of recap and talk about it a little bit. So Gather 25 happened this past weekend. So we hosted a gather group here from churches all across the Roanoke Valley. And so we had, but best count, it was tough to count with all the people in the room and all the things happening, but best count, we had around 450 folks here in the room. And were you guys here?
I was.
You were here?
I was on kid duty at home.
You were on kid duty. Okay. Courtney and I had that discussion, and we were arguing, like, no, Trevor was there. Like, I'm sure I saw Trevor, but I see you all the time now, so I don't know when I saw you.
Yep.
Now I see you like 6 days a week.
Literally.
Yes. So I just kind of assume I saw you everywhere, right? If I'm at church, Trevor must be at church. But Gather 25 is fantastic. It was a cool thing to be a part of. If you haven't gone back and watched it, if you couldn't watch it live, you can watch all 25 hours of it. You can go to gather25.com. I don't think I watched all of it, but everything that I watched is worth watching. Some of the AI voices are a little goofy.
Oh yeah.
So they did. They were able to do like AI translations. Did you get to hear any of the AI translations?
No, I did not.
Real interesting. Okay, so there was one.
I think I did. Anyway.
Well, there was one that he was speaking he must have been speaking in Spanish, but you couldn't really hear his voice very much, but you could tell like he's getting after it, right? It was like very dynamic preaching, and it was great, and it was AI translating into English in live time, which is super cool. Gosh, it was super cool until you hear his AI voice of like real monotone, talking just like this. I'm like, bro, come on. Like the man is preaching the house down.
Yeah.
And the AI is just like, it's like, you can't. So we had a text thread with like Megan and Cassidy and Carly and I. We were trying to decide, okay, what parts are we going to play live while we're here and all these things. And we were going back and forth, and we were going to play whatever was live at a certain point. But it was one of those, like this dude's preaching the house down in one language and the AI translation is just super monotone. It's like, we're not doing that. Like, I'm sure whatever he's saying is good, but it would not be, would not have been good. So the content was probably good, but the delivery through AI was,
Needs some work.
it needed some work at that point. A little lackluster, but that's all right. But Gather, all in all, was fantastic, especially being here in the house. So a little over, around 450 is the estimate we had, but it was a cool moment to see people from all over the valley, from different churches, right? There's probably a lot of things that we disagree on, right? About how ministry should be done, how church should be done. Probably some things in Scripture that we disagree on. But it was cool that we were all able to get together and be led in worship by a joint worship team that comes from all different churches, right? And because the one thing we do agree on is Jesus, right? And that was such a cool moment just to see the bigness isn't a word, the vastness of the body of Christ, right? Vastness, it's like a Scrabble word. That's a good one.
You get that.
How many
you're winning.
points do you get for a V? That's got to be something.
I think it's 10 or 7.
That's got to be
I don't
something.
know. There's probably 13 total on that word.
John, I feel like I do see you every day except Saturday. And some Saturdays we see John too. So John just loves us. He's another one that gets
For
to be
better or
around.
worse.
He is forever stuck with us. No, Don is the one that's really stuck with us, especially in a text thread. Our accountant hates the text thread that he has to be put in because there's so many memes and foolishness.
Hope he figured out how to silence the notifications.
He did figure it out.
Oh,
but,
he did?
But we're
Okay.
gonna keep, we're gonna keep showing him the love,
Right.
no matter what. But Gather 25 was fantastic. So I don't know, Cody, what was your experience like? What was it like? What did it feel like being in the room and being here for that?
It was, I especially liked seeing the other cultures and the other countries worshiping because what was it, Peru that we patched into?
Yeah, we watched a little bit of Peru.
They were in for lack of a better word, a Colosseum style church.
Yeah.
And they were playing praise, but they were singing it in their language. And I think it might have been you that said that you watched a sermon, or it might have been Carly. Watched a sermon in a different language, and you don't know what he was saying. I think it was Carly, convicted by just the emotions in the room and what he was delivering, and the emotion in that song "Praise" that in their language. I was like, I don't know what they're saying. I know the words, the English version. I
Right.
know that's probably the same words, but they were getting after it. But it was cool to see. Oh, people worship everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It was eye opening.
Yeah.
And everybody that came from other churches was like, "Is it always this windy up here?" Because I was holding the door shut because they were wanting to go. I was like, "Yeah, actually, yes."
It was especially windy, and we decided that's just that Holy Spirit wind. I don't know why everybody else doesn't have it at their church, but you know, we got the Holy Spirit that just blows the wind all around the mountain, right?
You should see us during the spring.
Which you can see us on Easter right here on the mountain at 6 a.m. for sunrise service. It'll be good and windy, and we will have heaters. I told Dustin, I said, hey, do we really need to get the heaters this year? Because we didn't use them at all. And so he's sure it's going to be cold. And so I assured him, look, if we get the heaters, it will for sure be warm, and we won't need them.
I've never been to a warm one.
See, but last year was warm.
I didn't come.
I wasn't there last year.
So maybe that's it.
Before that,
So you're the
freezing.
reason.
Yeah, maybe.
Man, maybe it's both of you guys. So I bought heaters and you guys didn't show up and it was warm.
So we should show up.
Yeah. And then it'll be frigid. You guys will have to scrape the ice off the speakers and the drums. Yeah, that'll be good fun. So definitely join us for Easter. But Gather, if you didn't get to watch it, definitely go back and watch it. It's just the entire idea of the entire church gathering in one time frame, right? Focusing on one thought, and that kind of the entire idea of it was, what if we knew for sure that Jesus was coming back in the next 10 years, right? How would we respond? How would we live differently? And I love that thought. And so it's put on by someone named Jenny Allen. My wife has loved her and followed her for years. She's put out or started a ministry called IF, with the IF Gathering. It's been a huge women's conference for many, many years. So this was kind of birthed out of that. But one of the things she was talking about, she had a dream that, there was a bunch of people on these boats, and she kind of just woke up with that feeling of Jesus is coming back in 10 years. Right. And she was very clear, and I appreciate this, is not like a prophetic thing. Like, she wasn't saying, hey, Jesus is coming back in 10 years. I know this. Like, she's not writing a book to, say that Jesus is coming back, all these things like several others have and have been wrong, which is a little embarrassing, I feel like.
If so, Gather 35. It would be wild. I'll be there for that one.
That would be pretty fantastic. Can you imagine just right at the end? Just
walks in.
What a way to show up too, right?
And of all places, Parkway.
Right? I mean, I can't imagine why he would show up anywhere else.
All the haters would be like, "Are you kidding me?"
We just predicted it right here, right now. March 5th, we just put it out there.
I'm here for it.
Except he has an AI voice translate. Just not right.
I mean, that's what speaking in tongues really is, just AI, right? Sorry, people, don't hate me. That was a joke. It's okay. It's not blasphemous. It's just a joke. I had to clarify that one time I was preaching, and I made a joke. It's like, look, guys, I'm not a heretic. It was just a joke. It's okay. I think there's still some people upset about that one, but that's okay. It happens. But Gather is just one of those cool times that, for all of our differences around the world, for all of our different challenges, in different cultures, and even just here in America as Christians, the things that we believe differently and all the denominational lines, like all that was gone. And we're going to focus on the one thing that we can all agree on is Jesus is coming back and the world needs him. And that was just the most powerful thing, because the whole time we're hitting that, right? That was just a good time. So go back and watch Gather 25. It's all great. I will tell you, the Gather 27 is coming. So we're already making plans. And the hope is that it's so big that we can't host it here, right? So when we first heard about Gather 25, we were talking about the Berglund Center and all of that. And weren't able to pull all the people together for that. But hopefully now that's happened. So Gather 27. So mark your calendars for Gather 27. Don't know when, but that is coming up. So today is Ash Wednesday. This is a flawless segue into what we're actually going to talk about today. I wanted to touch on this briefly, and I was glad when I realized where this kind of falls. So we've been talking about what it is to follow Jesus for a couple weeks now. Talked last week about following Jesus with our head and having our thinking guided by Scripture. And I thought this week, we're doing a show right on Ash Wednesday. It'd be wrong not to talk about Ash Wednesday. So we're going to delve into it just a little bit, and I think you'll see how it connects to our follow series. But either of you guys, when you're growing up in church, do you guys grow up with an understanding? Like, do you guys' churches celebrate Ash Wednesday?
They did.
It was mentioned, but they didn't celebrate it.
Right. Like, hey, today's Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, it could have been mentioned, but I was probably doodling on something, not paying attention.
That's hard to imagine. I can't imagine that at all. Yeah, we didn't really talk about it much in my church either, and it was always one of those things that, especially in my church, it was like, oh, that's a Catholic thing. Like, we don't do that. We stay away from that. Well, it is and it isn't, right? Now, I'm not going to pretend to know all of the deep-seated meanings behind Ash Wednesday and all that, but there was there's a lot of really cool significance behind it, right? So it is the beginning of Lent, and the entire idea of Lent is to deny yourself, right, and taking the focus off of yourself. Kind of that Romans 12 kind of idea of making yourself a living sacrifice, denying your own needs and own desires and putting your focus on Christ, right? And it's that whole idea of leading straight up to Easter, doing the same thing that Christ did for us, right? Christ didn't put focus on himself. He focused on not his will, but the Father's will. That's kind of the whole idea of it. And one of the coolest phrases that I think comes out of that, it's a real liturgical phrase, but it's one of those that's kind of always stuck in my head when I hear it. And it's a good one to ponder on. So it's a fun thing just to ponder on today. So you're probably going to hear it a little bit, but it's this great phrase. And I couldn't tell you where it comes from because I didn't do that much research on it. But it's a really cool phrase. It says, "Remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return." And I love that phrase because it's one of those that just kind of, if you just stop for a second and just let it wash over you, like at first glance, it's like, wait, what'd you call me? Like, right? You're dust. And it's a little offensive at first, right? Like when I first read that, like, what was your first feelings about that?
I've heard it before. I hadn't really put much thought into it, but
Yeah, kind of offended as well.
Right? It's a little bit offensive. Like, Cody, you're great,
You don't know me.
but you're dust.
actually,
Is that one of the new middle schoolers terms now?
You're dust.
If not, we should make it.
We can make it that one. I'll tell you what, we'll just swing through middle school tonight and just be like, man, you guys are dust.
Them shoes is dust.
what is it replacing Ohio?
Yes.
I hope it's
Could it
replacing
please?
Ohio.
Look, all right. So one, I realized the other day you guys are younger than me, and it made me feel really old. But
You're almost dust.
I am almost dust. I feel more like dust every
I'm
day.
closer
More
to the
personal
first
to
dust
him.
than the last dust.
We can only hope. We certainly hope so. Growing up, like, I'm sure we sounded stupid saying stupid things, but I don't remember sounding
this
that
dumb.
stupid.
No. And I don't have a middle schooler to really know the insides of what's going on right now, but we weren't this bad.
It's not great.
I did pick up on one of them that I use a lot, and I get hate for it every time. I say bussin'.
Now,
I
see,
don't know if they
bussin' I
still say
like.
it.
I like
dust.
bussin'.
That's dust.
That's dust. we might make that happen. I bet we could turn it into something.
That's probably from 4 years ago or something.
Man, just setting trends right here on the show. Fantastic. Every week, right here at noon, setting trends.
I can't wait. I can't wait for Sunday. The song doesn't go well in practice. That's dust.
That song
Trevor,
is
your
dust.
solo was dust.
Oh, brother.
If you need some dust, just go into the sound, or not sound
Drum
booth.
cage.
Go into the drum cage and just look under the hi-hat. There's definitely some dust under there.
Every time he hits it.
Or on top of the drum cage.
Oh, definitely on top.
It was black.
Right.
When we put it up.
Oh, my.
It's
many
gray.
moons ago. Speaking of dust, there's this. I like that phrase. Because one, I think it really reminds us of our place, you know, and how fleeting and small our life really is, right? Not insignificant and not unimportant, right? And I think that's an important distinction, is our life is incredibly important, right? And you have an opportunity to contribute something real to the world. But if you think about it in the vastness of an eternal creator, right, you're dust, right? And not that you're not important, because you're important dust, right? But you're dust. That's where we started, right? So it's this great kind of contrast, right, of who we are as created beings versus our creator, right? And think about, we talked about Genesis. Dustin started a brand new series on Sunday. We talked about Genesis, right? What does God form Adam out of? Dust. He starts out of the dirt, and he's dust. And where do you end up when you die? Like
Back in the dirt.
Back in the dirt. Like, even if we burn you, like, you're dust.
And somebody's breathing you in.
Right? I always like the idea of getting
sneeze.
You know, we haven't been canceled yet, but today might be the day.
We're a little off the wall.
Just a little bit.
We don't have one. We could use one.
If we had walls, we would be off them or on.
We would be contained by them.
We would be contained. Yeah, we really need a ceiling more than anything. But I just love that phrase. So hopefully, amidst all of the all of our shenanigans, hopefully that's something that kind of resonates with you a little bit. There is a verse that Cody's going to read for us. Actually, 2 verses here. And I thought it goes well with that kind of idea of we've been talking about following Jesus, and we really wanted to focus a little bit today on following Jesus with your heart. And I think this verse really kind of encapsulates what that means. So this is from the book of Joel, it's chapter 2, verses 12 through 13. If you read the book of Joel, it's really short. It's like written like 500 BC, written in exile. There's not a lot of great things happening for the people of Israel at this time, but Joel is prophesying on his people, and this is what he says. Go ahead and read that for us, Cody.
Even now, declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning. Rend your heart and not your garments. Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love, and he relents from sending calamity.
Yeah.
I had to focus on that word.
Oh, it's some words.
Yeah.
It's some real words. Yeah. There's some good Scrabble words in there. Way to go. Way to go, Cody. That's why I had you read it. Want to see if you could suffer through that. Not that I don't have faith in Trevor to be able to read it. Yeah, and I didn't want to do it. They hear my voice enough. Nobody wants to hear that much of me.
Amen.
Because that would have been, the limit. People would have turned it off, right? That would have been the limit right there. What I really love is, so there's this. I'll give you a little bit of context. So there's this practice in Jewish history of when you're mourning or fasting. You know, you tear your clothes, and that's a sign of your mourning. Or instead of tear, you could use the word rend, right? That's why it's in there, right? So that word, that idea of rending your garments, right? It's a sign of mourning, a sign of sadness, right? Sign of fasting. And what Joel is getting at, he's coming from the heart of God and said, look, don't focus on making a show out of this, right? Don't focus on your actions and doing the right things. Rend your heart, right? Because your heart, now, so it's just me reading into it a little bit, but fix your heart, turn your heart towards God. Right? Don't just do the right religious practice that you know is right. Turn your heart towards God. And I love that the NIV used the word rend, right? Because one, it's a great band. But two, Rend Collective, if you've never heard of them, go look them up. Fantastic band.
Irish.
And they're Irish.
Which is always fun.
Fantastic.
They put on a heck of a show.
That's the truth. They introduced me to one of the coolest instruments I've ever seen. It's called a stump fiddle. Coolest thing ever.
Awesome.
I want one, but nobody sells them and nobody makes them. Like, you can really only get them made by like some dude that lives in a cabin in the backwoods of West Virginia. Like, it's just like that, handmade. It's fantastic. Look up stump fiddle, STUMPH, stump. Apparently it's a word. I know. Didn't know that. I had to Google it.
That would have stumped me.
And that's why you're here.
My jokes are dust.
But I love that Joel comes at us with that, or comes at the people of Israel with that of, hey, they're going through a tough time right now, and focusing on hoping that God doesn't punish them. There's a whole lot of context back there. You should really go read it. But and what he's getting at is, stop focusing on your outward appearance, on your outward actions. Focus on your heart. And that's really what we're following Jesus starts, right? It's easy to, sometimes it's easy to do the right things, right? It's easy to show up on Sundays, sometimes a little bit later. Speaking of which, time changes this Sunday, so we lose an hour.
Don't tell them.
We're springing forward.
It's always the best when people walk in late.
Well,
It's getting canceled anyway.
11:30, people are coming in, so don't miss the time change. But instead of doing the right things, right, why don't you have the right heart, right? Rend your heart, as Joel says. And I think that's just a great way to go into this Lenten season, right? As we're focusing on Christ's sacrifice for us on the cross, and him choosing not his will, but the Father's will for himself, right? One, it's a great example to follow. But if we're following Jesus, that's the kind of heart posture we need to have. So as we go through this Lenten season, I'm going to encourage all of us just to remember what we are, right? Remember who we are, and that's dust, right? And that doesn't mean that dust is unimportant, right? But think about this. Christ died for you knowing you're dust, right? We get maybe 75 years, right? Depending how much McDonald's you eat, right? So for me, it's probably like,
68.
Yeah, something like that. We'll go there. I don't know. I guess it depends. I think I'm technically middle-aged, but that kind of depends how long I live. I don't think I'm going to make it to 100. And how did I get there? That was rough. It got dark real fast.
What are we talking about?
Well, I talk about food too much with Dustin. Spend too much time around him, so it always goes there. But we're dust, and Christ died for us nonetheless, right? So even though you're dust, and to dust you'll return, Christ sacrificed himself for us. And that's really what Lent is all about. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to humble ourselves and focus on Christ's sacrifice. And that was a really long way to say, today's Ash Wednesday, and you should focus on Christ today. That was the 40-minute way to say that. But I feel like nobody's going to watch. Maybe one day we'll just have like a 1-minute long show. Like, say all the beginning stuff.
That's still 10 minutes.
That's it. That's still 10 minutes. That's true.
Or more.
Yeah. It's
Depending
10
on
minutes
how
if
many
we
of us
don't
are here.
derail ourselves.
I mean, there's very little chance of that.
Yeah.
It's also like 100 degrees in here right now.
Oh, I feel good.
I feel pretty good.
All right, well, apparently I'm 100 degrees in here.
You might not make it to 60.
Well, when you have two strapping-looking young men in the same room.
That's it. I am sitting
talking
awful
me and
close
Cody.
to you guys.
Me and Cody.
That is a lot of
It's not
heat coming off
bright
y'all.
lights.
Just kidding. It's probably the light.
We'll blame the light. That's probably it. But hey, thanks so much for joining us. We'd love for you to share this with somebody in your life. There's somebody in your world. I say it all the time, but there's somebody in your world that maybe they just need a little bit of laughter. Maybe they need to laugh at three guys in hats. Two
of them are bald.
One old guy and a couple of younger guys.
I mean, we're in the same.
Good-looking dudes with beards. Let's see what else. A couple of guys in hats. Some really bald guy. One kind of bald guy.
What?
And one dude that's going to enjoy hair forever.
This is the longest.
Are you going to grow the mullet out?
I don't know.
Are we going to go
I've
full
got
mullet?
got some work stuff coming up.
I vote
don't feel
no.
Like I can.
I
Have
think
it.
you should do it. I vote yes.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the
you're
chat.
still
Should
watching.
Cody grow his mullet out? Right? Or what's your wife?
I'm tired
What's
of
your
wearing a
wife
hat.
think? Does she like it?
She said to keep it.
I mean, definitely keep it.
I'm
Though.
tired of wearing a hat all the time. It's just so bad.
I mean, that's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't shave it. Keep it as long as you can.
Okay. I'm in.
But yes, put in the chat. We'll start a little poll. Should Cody grow the mullet? Maybe we'll see what happens. But thanks so much for joining us. Share this with somebody. We'd love for you to join us Sunday, 9 and 10:30 in person or online. Don't miss that. Have a great week and stay motivated.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episode, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy Midweek Motivation with John and Carly. Hey.
Midweek Motivation.
Let's go!